What's up, Lego builders? Welcome back to Coconut Brick Studios for another week of building Coruscant and Lego. This week I'm going to be jumping all over the place because I'm starting a new section and I don't have a firm foundation to build upon. I'm still figuring out a lot of things, adjusting heights, trying to really establish my vision for what I want to do with the entertainment complex. So there are a couple of smaller builds that I need to get done first, which will set me up to get lots of progress done later on. Which is good news for you guys, because instead of sitting there watching me just build one giant thing, I'm gonna be all over the place today. If you're excited to see what's going down this week, don't forget to execute Order 66 on that like button, and let's get started. Before I get into the building for this week, I wanna show you some progress I made on last Saturday's live stream. So I built the roof that I was talking about last week with these trans-clear windshields. I connected them to some 1x2 clips, so now they can open and close. I'm gonna have them run all the way around here. This corner is probably going to be a fixed piece because there's no corner windshield piece that could fit right there, but I'm really happy with how they're looking. Originally this walkway was only 4 studs wide, but the roof was actually hanging over the edge of that, and you can see it's much closer to the edge now. In fact, I just barely put in some inverted slopes on this end, and you can see it reaches all the way to the end of the railing just because I didn't want to leave this exposed. A couple things that I'm still not sure of are, first, the height. You can see it's just tall enough for a minifigure to stand up, and I kind of want it a little bit longer just because there are so many different kinds of alien species. If I want to have a Wookiee walking down this walkway, I'll have to raise these up. So I'm probably going to either lower this archway or raise this brick wall up one to two more studs. Also, adding 2 extra studs to this walkway made it wider than this archway, so I'm going to have to add some more arch pieces and fill the wall out 2 more studs. I also realized that this walkway over here is actually taller than this sky bridge, and I wanted them to be at the same level, so I got some stuff to adjust over here. It's the beginning of a new month, so you guys know what that means. We got some new parts incoming. I got a bunch of plate. I thought I had an innumerable amount of large plate, but Coruscant has eaten through pretty much all of that. I also got some random pieces in here for some other videos and a little Geonosian battle droid. Whenever I can, I try to pick these up when I find them for a good price. Now over here, I got parts packaged in a way I've never seen before. It's like some kind of crinkly paper, parchment paper maybe, but got some bricks in here, nothing too crazy, and more random parts. But I think you guys are going to be the most excited with what's in this one. With Coruscant being the central hub of the entire galaxy, it's full of all different kinds of species of aliens, and I wanted to represent that in this mock. Lego has made some alien minifigs from the Star Wars galaxy, and I'm going to try to get as many of those as I can, but they tend to be a little bit more on the expensive side. So I'm going to build some custom aliens using parts from the Lego Space Police line to help populate the mock. I think outside of Star Wars, Space Police is the coolest alien minifigs. I have a long to-do list of small things for this entertainment section that need to be done before I can get the larger sections and the shops built. Starting with the floor. That needs to be plated off as soon as possible. Next, I need to start building the walkway of the second story, so I can figure out how wide I want it to be and how much lower than the archway this side is. I decided to lower the height of the archway instead of just adding another row of bricks on the upper wall, because I realized if I raise the wall any higher, it and the roof will be sticking up above the outer walls, which won't look good. While I'm over here, I figured I might as well add in the extra arch pieces to make the archway the same width as the walkway. This proved to be way more destructive than I anticipated, but that's mock building sometimes. Build, destroy, rebuild, repeat. Now I can put the trans-clear roof pieces back on in their proper and final height and hope everything still looks good. The taller this wall is going to be, the more plain and boring it's going to look, so I may need to add in some artwork like I did in the apartment building to spice it up. Lastly, I'm going to connect the side walkways to the archway to see how many steps I will need to build in order to get them to be at the same height. Alright, I got everything done that needed to be modified and adjusted, and now I can get a much better look, and now I have a much better idea of what this second floor is going to look like and how it's going to look compared to the bottom floor. The walkway will come up right here, come around this corner right here, and then step up onto this archway, and this step ended up only being 1 plate high, so practically non-existent, so I'm not even going to worry about trying to raise this up at all. I'll just leave it like that. I raised up the roof 1 brick as well, and now you can see it's much more accommodating to some of the taller species in the Star Wars galaxy. The next big thing I need to figure out is how are people going to get from up here to down here and vice versa. Originally I was thinking about putting in some stairs or an elevator, but I don't really know where I would put the stairs, so I'm thinking about having like a little elevator maybe right here that goes up and down because, you know, it's kind of in the back, out of the way, and then people can come out of the sky bridge and either choose to go off in this direction or go down to the first floor. I'm probably going to have the same kind of elevator or stairwell right here on this side. There aren't going to be any shops or restaurants up here. It's purely going to be a place to just sit and relax or eat, so there's only going to be tables and chairs and then this railing on the outside. But that's pretty much everything I have to update you guys for now, so time to get back to work. I'm adding in another broken section of sidewalk. This will probably be the last large damaged section of sidewalk I do on this side, because everything after this will still be under the control of the Republic of the Clones, so the battle hasn't ravaged that part of the city yet. The reason I put these section in so early on is because everything is still in the early stages of being built, and it's really easy to tear stuff up, move and adjust things. And once the walls are finished and the tiles on the sidewalk, it will be a huge pain to try and do something like this. Unlike the previous battle damage section, this one will have slopes at the bottom loosely fitting together to create cracks. Then I'll use wedge plates and other small parts to create a crater around those cracks, working up outwards towards the undamaged sections of sidewalk. Because this whole section is raised up, there are lots of little canyons in between the filler brick under the plate, and I keep losing small tiles and plate down there. So if you see me tearing up sections I just built, it could be because I'm trying to fish out some pieces that tried to escape. I've got a big old chunk of battle damage sidewalk to show you guys. This turned out pretty good. I'm pretty pleased. I was a little nervous to try using the connected slope pieces technique again, just because on some of the previous ones, especially that one, the crack itself looked very square, just because the backside, you know, of all these slope pieces is very straight. But only a couple of them are exposed, and I think with the way I can position them and put in some smaller detail pieces, I think that should hide that. So it looks pretty good. I'm not sure what caused this, to be honest. I probably should figure that out. I just think it looks cool and adds to the destroyed nature of this mock. I do think I need to add some more battle damage to the buildings themselves, just because the ground's going to be so broken up and then the buildings are going to look pristine. I think that might look weird. I'm also going to have part of this road destroyed, basically matching this little section right here to kind of, you know, finish out this shape. But I'm not going to put that until the very end of the mock, because if I put it in now, it'll just get moved around and broken. I also stuck some tiles underneath some of these slopes just to pop them up. It looked kind of weird when they were all flat, and this looks more realistically broken now. One quick thing I wanted to mention in regards to last week, I had a lot of people saying that I need to add debris and stuff underneath the sky bridge. I'm aware of that, I know, but there's nowhere for me to put it right now. There's no road in there, so, you know, the road needs to go in first, and if I do it now, every single week it's going to get moved and bumped and changed. So final debris that's sitting on this mock is not going to be added until the end of the series. I'll be building broken stuff like that, but the smaller pieces that will be surrounding it won't be added until much later. I got some more work done on the entertainment complex, namely adding in a railing and throwing up some tables just to show you guys what this top is going to look like. This is obviously going to be taken up and then rebuilt in its final form. I'm also glad I decided to go with the extra width on these walkways, because originally they would have stopped right there. So there would have been literally no room to get around the tables, but now I think there's a lot more space. I also added in a little connector railing piece, just because this side is a little bit taller than that one. I needed something that could sit at an angle, so I just used a couple of these little clips. So that's pretty much everything for this week. I know it was a lot of little stuff, not a lot of huge things, but by finishing up and finalizing a lot of these smaller details, that'll set me up to have weeks where I get large sections of progress done, because now I know the correct heights and widths of everything. I can go in and build huge sections of the walkway. I now know like how much room I'm working with for the shops down here. I now know where the stairs, basically all these little things. Speaking of little things, I decided that this wall was too plain, so I'm going to add in a bunch of paintings in the same style as the ones from the apartment, with a symbol of the Republic at the center. This is what I call model home art. It looks good, but is very generic and simple, and can be swapped out for cooler stuff later. As I was wrapping up, I realized I put the paintings in too high, so I had to lower them all down by one brick. All of the adjustments I made on the inside of this wall threw off the placement of the brackets on the front side, so I had to readjust everything so that the side walls could be reconnected to the archway and the welcome sign raised up closer to the middle. Now that I finished that, it's time to talk about what's happening next week. Another week down, and the progress moves steadily forward. Next week, I want to tackle the common area floor, because I've had this idea for like a little fountain / water feature section for a long time. I think basically since the beginning of the mock. And I have an idea of something particular I want to do with the floor, but I haven't actually tried to figure out to see if it's plausible. And so next week I'm going to tackle that, as well as starting the foundation for the other block of buildings that's going to be across from the entertainment section. Because so far I've only focused on one side of the mock and I don't want the other side to fall too far behind. Don't forget to let me know what you thought about this update down below in the comments, and I will catch you all next time. But until then, happy building.